Hey guys, welcome to SheKnowsArsenal. My name is Jessica and I'm your host, and you can follow me on Twitter at @SheKnowsArsenal. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Messi. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit. Well, we're going to talk about Messi, and then when we're done with that, we'll do some Q&A. But yeah, news broke yesterday that he was not going to be signing a new contract with Barcelona. He was a free agent, but they had already agreed terms or whatever, and it was supposed to happen as normal. Everything was in place, and then boom, reports start coming out that it's not going to happen. And yeah, things have kind of accelerated today. There are reports coming out that he's going to sign for PSG, and it's really close to being done. And now there's reports coming out about Aguero not being happy and not wanting to stay at Barcelona. So it's getting crazy. For a while it kind of seemed like, okay, well, this is just some sort of stunt to try to pressure La Liga, but the speed in which this is happening leads me to believe that yeah, he's out. And then what does this PSG team look like? I mean, it's a super team, isn't it? You have Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe all playing in the same team with Ramos and co. So that team looks really good under the stewardship of Pochettino. Can Pochettino deal with this level of players? Can he get them to play for him? And what are the expectations of PSG moving forward with a team like this? Has to be winning the Champions League, isn't it? And then what happens to Barcelona? Who's really watching La Liga, at this point? But yeah, so there's about 33 of you guys watching right now. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in Souls. Be nice to him, you guys. He's going through it. Hey, Souls.
Yeah, you can say that again. I'm going through it today, aren't I?
Yeah. So talk to you. How are you feeling?
It's not the best feeling. You know what it is? It's weird when obviously we talk about players retiring and obviously end of an era, and I think this just hit home that it actually is coming to end of an era, and the era of Ronaldo, Messi, this. It is, in my opinion, I think the greatest rivalry we're probably going to see in world football for centuries to come. To have arguably two of the best players to ever do it play at the same time is sensational in itself. But then to have that, obviously it kind of ended with Ronaldo going to Juve, but to play in the same league, that was the first, I think, hit when Ronaldo went to Juve was, okay, this is coming to an end and I don't like it. I don't want to see football without Messi or Ronaldo. To be completely honest, that's just and obviously Messi's, every generation has their player that they talk about, that they'll tell their kids and they'll tell their kids. Lionel Messi is one of them, and being someone who's been following Barcelona since the age of, for me, it was about 4 or 5 years old when Ronaldinho was there in 2004 and Rivaldo in 2009, and growing up watching them and the whole sort of Mescuan club, more than a club, and the whole philosophy that they built under Johan Cruyff and total football, it was remarkable. And I think that's what led me to being sort of an Arsenal fan as well, because Wenger came in and he transformed the Premier League. As much as people want to give him stick for how it ended, one thing that you've got to give credit for is how he's come in with this whole new philosophy of transforming football clubs into more than a club, a community, a family. And I think that is where things kind of come to an end now. And it's like Bartomeu came in and completely ruined Barcelona and what it stood for, and it painted it. Well, they were already a hated club unless you like Barcelona. It's like you like them, you love them, or you literally hate them. And there was no middle ground. I don't mind them. I don't think I've ever come across someone who's like, yeah, I don't mind Barcelona. It's more like, yeah, I fucking hate them. The cheaters, the UEFA loaner, or you actually appreciate them and love them. So it's always a good fun to have. And I think in England especially, it's the whole culture of you support a Premier League club or you don't support anyone really. That's just how it's always been, unless you've come from, let's say, Spain or Germany or Italy or France, or you've got a heritage there or you've got family there. But for me, it was just this whole, that is my player. I know people are going to find it mad because aren't you meant to be an Arsenal fan? But there's always that player you just look at and you're like, you know what? I would absolutely love that player at my club. And that was Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I have to be honest, I really stopped caring about Barcelona. So, I was like a huge Barcelona fan, like back in the day. It was like Arsenal and Barcelona. Obviously, Arsenal was like my main team, but I love Barcelona. It's not hard to understand why. I mean, it's not like, I wouldn't say we played similarly, but they gave you kind of like the same feeling, you know what I mean? And then Pep came and he got rid of Ronaldinho. And then I realized I didn't actually love Barcelona that much. I actually just loved Ronaldinho. So I started to hate Barcelona after that because I just couldn't get over the fact that Ronaldinho wasn't there anymore. And that's my guy. Like that is, when Arsenal were playing Barcelona in the Champions League, I was like very struggling. I was like, well, it's Ronaldinho, but it's Arsenal. But then once Ronaldinho left, I knew. I was like, okay, no, I don't actually like Barcelona that much. So it's kind of like one of those things where I understand where you're coming from. And a lot of Arsenal fans really do love Barcelona. They just do. Like it just is natural, right? So it's nothing to that. But I don't know. It's one of these things where I'm still having a hard time coming to grips with it, feeling like, because I'm not even a huge, like, I love Messi, obviously, like he's he's the greatest player, blah, blah. But like, I can't imagine him in a PSG kit. Like, I actually can't imagine it, like, at all. And they're talking about he's going to have the number 19, and it just feels weird, doesn't it? So I know it definitely came out of nowhere, but if you had to give it a percentage at this point, like this percentage it's happening, this percentage it's not, where are you sitting here? Are you still holding out hope that something can be fixed, or do you think it's gone? I mean, there's rumors coming out that they've booked the Eiffel Tower. Last time they booked the Eiffel Tower, we know what happened,
Yeah, that was such a snaky move as well. That made me hate Neymar. Like that whole move and the way it happened absolutely made me to the point where if I came across Neymar on FIFA, I wanted to beat that player. Like I just hated the guy. And there was a rule: if my mates came over, you couldn't use PSG or Brazil. It just made me despise him because he was like, "Oh no, I'm gonna stay at the club. I love Barcelona. I'm not gonna move." And then he moves for the money. Like literally 2 days later, after telling the fans, reassuring the fans that nothing's gonna happen, I'm happy where I am, and I'd be willing to even extend my contract and stuff. And then he just goes and moves and he just does a snaky thing. But the thing is, the whole Messi situation, you've got to understand it was inevitable. It was coming for many, many years, because when you kind of look at Barcelona under the leadership of Bartomeu primarily, it was one of those where even if COVID didn't happen, I don't think they could have afforded to renew his contract either way, because the reports were coming out from like financial experts that the budget that Barcelona had for marketing and mainly Bartomeu's personal agenda marketing was 70% over budget than any other club would ever spend on marketing. And that was just to tarnish the reputations of Messi, Piqué, Puyol, Xavi, Iniesta, just to make Bartomeu look better than he actually was. And then when you kind of start to take that into account and the debt that he already had put the club in, and then you take the COVID-19 situation, you're like, well, was it ever going to happen? And the problem is the 300 million euro naming right of the Camp Nou collapsed as well because no one thought it to be a necessary investment that they could feel they were going to get a return on. So it was just a lot of things started to add up. And for me, the fact that La Liga pulled their, backing of this, I don't really, and I think the clubs made peace with it. They wouldn't, if there was any hope, you wouldn't see thank you messages. You wouldn't see, Laporta coming out doing a press conference and saying, just don't get your hopes up. I just don't think any of that would happen if there was even a glimmer of a chance for it happening. And the fact that Messi's father, who's also his representative and agent, if you want to call it, he was at PSG and apparently the deal's been signed. So when you look at it, everything's pointing in the direction. Nothing of this number 19 would have come out. Nothing of this whole number situation would have come out if there wasn't at least some elements of truth to it. I don't think City will hijack this move just because they got Grealish, in my personal opinion. Just because £100 million, if they hadn't spent it, I reckon Messi would have been City bound and they would have put that £100 million towards getting him in. Because let's be honest, they would have offered him a 3-year deal on probably around 40 million a year, and that would have been just over what they paid for Grealish. But then if you account wages into it, that would have been what they paid for Grealish. So he would have really gotten exactly what he wanted, work with Pep, which is what he wanted to do initially. But he's joining Neymar, which is what he kind of always alluded to. It was either going to be Neymar coming back to Barcelona or him going to PSG. There was always this. I think if you look closely at the signs and you were being true to yourself, you've seen this coming. And I think this is a move which no one wanted. Like as a Messi fan, I don't want to see it because him winning the Champions League with PSG will be historical for PSG, but it won't be historical for his actual legacy because it's like, well, yeah, but look at the team you had, and look at the amount of money they've spent, and there'll always be something. Whereas with him at Barcelona, it would have been like, yeah, he's a one-man club, he's a loyal. There's still something that he could stand his legs on. But for me, you know what? It does destroy the argument of can he do it in another league? Because that's what they wanted to know, and he'll do it.
Yeah, for sure. And then you have Ronaldo, who's done it, and he's already done it in multiple leagues and stuff. So if he can do it, if Messi can do it as well, then from a trophy standpoint, we're talking about equal playing field type of thing. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we could talk about it in a second because I'm still having a hard time feeling like Pochettino has kind of the clout to get these players to do what he wants, but just from a Barcelona perspective, you do have good young players in Pedri, and Ansu Fati.
Ansu Fati. Obviously, and then you've got
what you have to look forward to now. It feels a little bit Arsenal-esque where you're looking at the young players like,
but okay. When we look at it, right, when we think about even R9 going out, they replace him with Ronaldinho, then they replace Ronaldinho with, Messi, a 19-year-old, which no one at that time, everyone thought the same, was like, can this kid do it? Who's come out of the youth academy? Yes, he's done well. Yes, he started off well, but can he do it? And look at him now. He's one of the greatest players of all time. And I'm not saying that's what Ansu Fati is going to do, by the way, but I mean, it's been done before. And I think Barcelona, one of those youth academies who you just don't know what they can produce. They can either produce stars or they can produce players who play for a season and then you'll never know who the hell they were again. But I actually do think Ansu Fati, if the injury situation and if he can come back and he can stay fit, because he did have a relapse which kind of caused the end of his season to just basically be the entire season he was out for. But Barcelona's biggest issue is their financial state. And if if they weren't in the financial situation they were in, even if they had got rid of Messi, I think they would have bought Haaland in. I don't think it would have been Chelsea bound. I think it would have definitely been about 110%, in my opinion, Barcelona bound, and that would have been the mantle they would have they put in to replace Messi. And I'm not saying they're like for like, but it's just a star prowess. But now it's a bit of a Ansu Fati's got the weight of La Liga and Barcelona to carry that league and make it what it could be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there needs to be a face of Barcelona. There needs to be a face of the league. That's how they're going to bring in the sponsorships, get eyes on that league, because I'm sorry, but I'm trying to figure out, why am I watching La Liga? And so if you're a Barcelona fan, I'm not. So when I'm looking at other leagues to watch, I need to feel like I'm watching something that's special. And at the moment, it's kind of like there's no Ronaldo, there's potentially no Messi. So that next person has to
Not even
come
like
out.
Ramos, Varane.
It's all gone, isn't it? It's all gone, So we'll kind of see like how they rebound from it, but it's really shocking. It really, really is. But just, I mean, there's a comment here, and I just want to ask you, because you're a Barcelona fan. Is Barcelona, will they be better off without Messi? Is there a world where this could be the start of something really good for Barcelona, where, there's something positive to take from this? Because it's just like, it feels so negative, but maybe there is something there.
I
He
mean,
was gonna be gone at some
I mean,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, yeah, he was always like, look, if we're going to be absolutely true to ourselves, he's got another maybe, I'd say 3 years at the absolute most to offer to whoever he goes to.
Yeah.
So the thing is, they would always have to rebuild, and I think they are doing that with the likes of De Jong coming in, with the likes of, obviously they've got Ilias Moriba coming through the academy, and obviously when you kind of talk about like the whole, like even Pedri, for example, that's someone of their youth prospect. They've got Arujo, who's had a decent season. They are starting to build towards something where they're starting to bring back the old identity of bringing La Masia players through and bringing in those youngsters who they don't have to pay big money for, but they're good enough for it. But what this allows them to do, because you've got to think he was on, well, the reports were all over the place in terms of how much money he actually earned at Barcelona. Some reports were saying $1 million a week. Like, when you comprehend that, that is basically that Messi's wages is what they needed to cut down on to be able to sign Messi to be able to sign him on and register him as a player in the first place. So it's one of those where I think Barcelona were always on a decline anyway, but because number one, I don't think the squad was up to scratch to allow Messi to be the player he needs to be. Whereas at PSG, we'll see a better version of Messi because the whole reliance isn't on him. He's got Mbappe who can pick up the slack. He's got Neymar who can pick up the slack. Then obviously, when you look into their midfield, you've got Wijnaldum, Verratti, Hakimi. And then if you look at that backline, depending on if they play a 4 or a 3, they've got Ramos, Kimpembe, they've got what's the other, Marquinhos. And the thing is, maybe, you know what, for his own sake, I think it's the best thing to happen, because you could tell he was falling out of love with Barcelona, and it could be something that allows him to have a career at the top stages and still compete for a Champions League, because PSG have been in the incline in the UCL. They've gotten to finals. They've been competing in the Champions League, and you can start to call them a top 3 favorite every single year now. And adding Messi to that just solidifies that. But then for Barcelona, on the other hand, the positive is that's 50 odd million pounds a year saved in wages. And that's just what's being reported. That's not even any, because there's reports saying that he's got a percentage of sponsorships he can earn. There's certain like percentages of the club's revenue he has access to. So it's crazy, like what wages he's actually on, and the image rights he has, and the rights he has over the club. It's a madness. I think it could be a positive, but you never want to lose one of the greatest players from your club. You just don't want to do it. But well, I think it's a hindsight question.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely won't know until reconvene in a couple of years and see where Barcelona is, But since this is an Arsenal show, just to kind of wrap up the Messi talk, who's fallen worse or more? Who's fallen more, Arsenal or Barcelona?
Barcelona, 100%.
Whew.
And
And why?
I'll explain it. So when you look at, if you want to see a badly run club, go watch Barcelona for the last sort of 4 or 5 years under Bartomeu. That's what a badly run club is, not what Arsenal are. Arsenal, yes, they're not run to compete, but they're run to sustain themselves and allow themselves to not be in a financial calamity that they're in. And they've not got, the thing is, right, as much as the owners aren't what we want, but they're not money spenders, they won't allow the business to be at the state of bankruptcy. And when you look at the structure that like La Liga has, it's presidencies that have to then raise their own capital. And that causes its own issues because you can't then rely on someone who's a multi-billionaire to come in and buy the club out. You've got to rely on people who want to invest into Barcelona, who want to then put that money in and believe they can get that return in their investment through marketing or advertising. But with Messi now being gone, that's a huge marketing pull that they've now lost as well. So that's why I think Barcelona will probably fall. The thing is, it's not league positions. I know some people are saying, well, will Barca finish 8th? It's not about league position because it's different. Barcelona will still hold their stance on being a top 4 or a title challenging team, even without Messi. But they won't be a Champions League rival or a threat for many, many years to come because the financial collapse is far too great to repair for at least another 3-4 years.
Jeez, yeah. It's crazy. I'm still kind of
A club worse than Arsenal, I know.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it was maybe
So,
doubling
what's
the
your
amount
opinion? If you have one, I don't know.
of who's fallen further.
Yeah,
It's a different type of fall. You know what I mean? Like Barcelona still have really good players. They can still attract top players. They're still in the Champions League. They're still always fighting for titles. Um, their financial issues are really where they've declined. Arsenal have declined from a quality standpoint. Like we can't really attract the type. We're not even in Champions League anymore. Do you know what I mean? We're not even qualifying for Europe. So from a sporting perspective, I would say we've fallen really far. Barcelona financially is crumbling. So it's two different types, but you know what I mean? Like if they had the money, they could get Haaland if they wanted to. If we had the money, we couldn't get Haaland to come anyway.
but you know what it is? The thing is, when Barca had the money, they were competing, and I think that's the thing with Arsenal. We have the money, we just don't spend it, and that's kind of, we don't spend it right, and that's, I think, part of two different issues. And other than Bartomeu, I think Laporta built one of the greatest foundations to that Barcelona team that Bartomeu came and just ride his success on. And then with Arsenal, it's like we've not had a foundation for many years, and that's part of an issue where the thing is, if we can become a Champions League team, we can pull Haaland and we can pull these players because we have we're a legacy club as well, the supposed word. So it's just we just need to get back to where we need to be, and we probably have similar pull.
Yeah, for sure. So let's pivot. Let's pivot away from this depression. I mean, not like anything to talk about now. It's gonna be great, is it?
Yeah.
But you guys, we want to do Q&A. So go ahead and start dropping some of your questions into the chat box. Just make it obvious that it's a question. Put a Q in front of it or something. I see you guys asking for George. George is not available. George has a life, so not saying Souls doesn't have a life, but I sure don't. So that's why I'm here on a Friday afternoon/night talking to you guys, about Messi. But yeah, you guys just go ahead and drop some of your questions in the chat box. But let's talk a little bit about transfer rumors. Not like anything. See, I think at this point, unless Arsenal are working on something that's completely under the radar. I think we know who our targets are, at this point. So I don't think anything new in terms of like looking like new targets coming out. I just think it'll be whether or not we get these targets. We haven't seen anything concrete or anything specific saying that the Madison deal is any closer, but I still think that there's something to that. There's also reports coming out of Italy that basically the situation that Inter is in, they're willing to sell any and everybody. Like nobody is like, there's no cap, there's no nothing, because they're in like a really, really bad situation. So that's probably a good indicator of why we're still in for Lautaro Martinez. But the issue is really Lacazette and Nketiah are still here. So unless somebody comes and takes them off our hands, I don't really see anything happening. And then the biggest, transfer talk is about Joe Willock. There were some fake reports that had come out this morning that he was on his way to Newcastle, and then later on we heard that he's still here. But there's a $25 million offer from Newcastle to Arsenal for Joe Willock permanently, and for some reason there hasn't been a resolution on Joe Willock's side about where his future lies. And for the life of me, I cannot understand why this boy is not on his way to Newcastle. Like, I get that players have their choice, but somebody tell him he's not going to play at Arsenal. We need that 25 million and we need to release him a space in the squad. So just touching on the Joe Willock thing, is 25 million enough in your eyes to sell Joe Willock? Then would you be disappointed knowing that Newcastle is willing to pay us 25 million if we don't take it? And Joe Willock is still an Arsenal player at the end of the transfer window.
The thing is, obviously, we've got to look at it from a standpoint of what Arteta's currently doing, and he doesn't fit. Like, he's simple. I don't know, because you think about a box-to-box, no. You think about a deep line playmaker, no. You think about a number 10, no. If we turn like me and George have always alluded to, like, if he turns into a 4-3-3 and he plays that number 8 advanced playmaker or a 3-8. Then yeah, 100% Willock's got a future here, but he doesn't do. It's not what we want to do. It's not the way we're moving, and we need that 25 million. I think realistically, the reason why we're trying to get rid of Willock is so we can bring a Madison in, and we don't want. The thing is, you don't want to overpopulate your squad either, because that then causes more issues down the line. You've got too many players who are just taking wages, aren't playing, and it's one of those where financial fair play will take impact soon. Obviously, with the COVID situation, it's kind of been relaxed a little bit for a lot of the Premier League clubs, but it will soon take a hit on our finances. So we need to figure out what we want to do. And I don't know, because the way I look at it is, has the club told them something different? Otherwise, why are you thinking about not moving?
Why are you waiting? Yeah, what are you waiting on?
But then it's like, why would they tell him that you've got a future here when we don't know where to play you? He doesn't fit any of the positions. So it's a bit of I don't know. I don't know if Arteta's told him, look, you've got a future here as a bench warmer, and he's like, oh, I've got a future. That's all he heard. I don't know. When you do selective hearing, I think that's what happened there.
You have a future here. As a bench warmer, a future. No.
Yeah.
Bro.
That's what he's done. He just heard what he wanted to hear, and he was like, oh, yeah, cool.
I'm sorry. He'd be in the car. He'd be gone. Like, there's no way we should be turning down 25 million for Joe Willock at this time. But those are the main rumors. But somebody else who's come up, and I think it's from Kingston. Would you sell Ainsley Maitland-Niles? There's another word in there. I'm not going to call Maitland-Niles that.
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen it, yeah.
But would you sell Ainsley Maitland-Niles? I mean, yes.
If he doesn't want to play right back, then yes. If he wants to play right back, I'll keep him.
Yeah, of course. Like, it would be a no-brainer, if he wanted to play right back. But he doesn't, and he's not better than he's not even. Lokonga is a midfielder. Ainsley Maitland-Niles is not. You can tell just by the way that they move, the way that they scan, the way that they the way that Lokonga moves in midfield seems very natural. And for Ainsley, I think as he's gotten older and the competition has gotten harder, his ability to play in the midfield has decreased, and that happens. Like, that happens to a lot of players. It happened to me. When I was younger, I played in the midfield. As I got older, I played right back, because I couldn't play in midfield anymore. It's like, that's just how it goes sometimes. It doesn't mean you're not a good player. It's just your attributes are not set up to play midfield at a higher level, but you can still be a very high level right back / whatever else you want to be, wing back, whatever. I think that's what's happened to him. He's like still stuck in the academy. Like, you're not in the academy anymore. You're 24 and like you're literally not a midfielder. Like, I don't know.
He can forget about all the advanced stuff. You can't pass a ball. Like, simple. The basic thing of a midfielder is being able to pass a ball. Again, was it Millwall? I think it was. Every ball went to a Millwall player. I'm like, huh? How that? What? You literally are passing it next to you, and it still ends up on the opposition player. I'm like, wait a minute. How are you this man? Like the scanning bit and all of that. You're like, okay, fair enough. Like, maybe with time it'll come, but the fact you can't pass a 2-yard pass. For me, I'm like, sorry, but you're dead. I can't. I'm not watching. If you look, someone needs to realistically sit him down, one of his mates or something, and go, you want to play midfield, right? You're playing Sunday League because that's your level, mate. Like, someone just needs to be real with him and be like, you ain't playing as a midfielder in the Premier League. It's just not going to happen. Because even a Southampton aren't willing to play midfield. That's got to. If that's not telling you something, I don't think Arteta can ever get through to you. You're in your own delusion. You're in your own. Like, I don't get it. You've got an opportunity to play for Arsenal. And
I don't think he rates Arsenal. I don't think he rates
use it as a stepping stone. Use it as a. But you could be arguably one of the best right backs in the league. But you'd rather be a Sunday League midfielder. Like, come on, man. Like, who's advising you?
Some people that don't love him, I'm telling you that. Mohammed Maki asks, what would you expect to see from Arteta to avoid getting sacked? What is the minimum you would accept?
I mean, if he carries on looking this good, then it's all good, isn't it? No.
Arteta is aged, though, like 10 years in this job. Like,
he just needs to tell me what he does with his hair. From that hair,
he dyes it. He dyes it.
No, not the dye, but it just looks immaculate all the time.
I think he spends a lot of time on it. I think Arteta's quite vain, to be honest. Like, I view him as somebody.
Some would say he takes more time on his hair than the tactics, right? That's what some would say. No.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the guy, he definitely cares about the way that he looks. Like, that's for sure. But he could be a gremlin for all I care, just win games. You know what I mean? Who cares? But the minimum you would expect to see from Arteta to avoid getting sacked. I mean, I think the reality is without Europe, even if he didn't improve that, like, let's say this is all we did. We had Ben White, Tavares, and Lokonga, and that was it. But no Europe. I still expect him to do better than he did last season. A big kind of underlying issue was we're playing in so many competitions and we didn't have a preseason and all that kind of stuff. But really, that's not really an excuse. I would still expect us to do better because you will have been able to implement your ideas better, so I would still say he needs to be in Europe at the very least with what we have right now. But if we get, like, let's say tomorrow we sign Madison, I expect us to be competing for top 4, if not in there. He needs to push. Like, see what I'm saying? Like, it's just
the thing is, I am actually expecting top 6, and the reason why I say that is because surely we can't go through that slump of when that sort of October to November, like that whole weird run that we went on. I'm sorry, we should. If we go through that, he's getting sacked. Like, I think that will be the final straw for him. But I just don't see that happening again. And that was literally, if we had just won maybe 1 or 2 of those games, we could have seen ourselves in like top 4 or even top 6 very easily. So I think top 6 is the very, very, very minimum. And then if we can get Madison and if we can get a midfielder, I expect at least a challenge. I want to be able to say all season long, top 4 is on and not sound deluded. And that for me would be.
We're 8 points off top 4. That's just a couple games.
No, I mean, like, it depends how many games, but, like, I mean, I want to be in that conversation and not sound like, nah, you man are deluded. Like, you know, we were like, oh, no, we could get Europe. And then, but it sounded so deluded saying that last season. But that's all it is for me. I don't want to be bullied for saying, yeah, we can get top 4. That's all.
I mean, the reality is that, like, here, like, if he can't get more out of what he has at the moment, he's still not good enough. Do you know what I mean? If we improve the squad and we don't improve, he's not good enough. And so when we get into November, December, and there are a lot of winnable, like, and when I say winnable games that we should be winning, like in November, I would expect us going into December feeling really confident. Yes, we're going to play, I think, Spurs, Chelsea, and Manchester City in like them first 6 games. So I get that, but we should still be more competitive as well. You know, I don't expect us to be basically just passengers on the field, like cones. I expect us to be doing something. But I would say for sure, like, if we're not 4th or 5th place by December and it's not looking, we're feeling that anxiety that we usually feel. And like Sol says, like, it can't be 4 points, 5 points off the top 6. It's got to be like you have to be in there 4th, 5th place.
Well, you got to be top 6, but like if you're a few points off top 4, I'd be like, all right, fair enough.
At the very least, top 6. At the very least, and for me, it's top 6, and then we start getting higher the more improvements that we've made to the squad. If he's not there, he has to go. Like, because that would mean to me that you can't get the most out of what you have. And we would need a manager that can look at the squad and say, I'm going to pick the best pieces out, put it together, and fix it up for the second half of the season. So that would be the very least. You know what I mean? There's some good questions in here. High Tech J says, who's the better coach, Pep or Wenger? Wenger didn't have the players to produce the quality that Pep did, but he still played brilliant football with significantly worse players. It's a tough question.
I wouldn't say Wenger had worse players. It's a bit harsh on like Vieira and stuff, but I get what you mean.
I think he seemed like in that weird period. He's not. I don't think he's talking about the Invincibles. You know.
Yeah.
I think Arsene is the better coach. I do. I think Arsene is the better coach. Because I've seen him work with really not great players. Like, in a lot of Arsene's teams, like post the Invincibles, a lot of those teams had some really dead players and then like 3 or 4 really good ones. Has Pep ever had a team that didn't have
the Barcelona
world-class players to the side?
No, but that Barcelona team was his team though. That's what people sometimes do forget. Like, they wouldn't be as, I mean, they would have been as good, but I mean, they wouldn't be what they were without Pep. Like, don't forget, the man won every single trophy he could win in a calendar year, and the only coach to ever do it in world football. He won, I think it was 8 trophies, and it's never been done. And, like, the thing is, yes, there's an argument to be made both sides. I think Wenger's had a lot longer, and he's had a bit of he's had worse teams. But it's like, I do believe there's certain teams that when he had like the Fabregas core with Nasri, I reckon Pep could have won the league with him, because he would have probably needed a player or two, and he could have won the league. And I know Wenger could have done that.
But he wouldn't have got them one. If he was at Arsenal, he wouldn't have got them 1-2 players, would he?
That's the thing, and
I
think
go to the Sheikh and ask for a couple more world-class players, could he? You know,
but as
it's
a coach, I think Pep's, in my opinion, Pep's produced better players, but Wenger's had the better overall. What do you say? It's tough because I can't say Wenger's had the better career. But I can't say he's had the better career. I can't say that because I don't think he has. Because Pep has won more and he's done better. But
Okay. So what players are we attributing to Pep? Like what players
Messi,
are we
because Messi
attributing?
actually broke out in his
Okay,
season.
so Messi. So does that win it anyway? Just because he produced Messi?
Well, you can say David Villa was under him, Sanchez was under him. Busquets wouldn't have been as good without his leadership either. PK came back and actually transformed into a centre back under his leadership. Dani Alves was a big one, part of his sort of campaign. Eric Abidal owes a lot to Pep. So when you look at that core of that team, and don't forget you have Valdez in there. Valdez was one of the shittest keepers to win the Champions League.
I hear what you're saying. I feel like it's close. I do.
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's either way.
Because Arsene created some good players with some of these players were really, really good. Well, the thing about Arsene is that he is a good talent identifier. Like he could see if a player was good and just needed something different. He's able to identify Thierry Henry. Nobody thought Thierry was as good as he was until he got to Arsene. Robert Pires, that's somebody who was just kind of hanging out, and then he brought him over. Kolo Toure, somebody else as well. I get what you're saying, Cesc, but he's a Barcelona product, but still, I get what you're
Barca
saying.
beat Pep, by the way. Barca beats Pep product. So
it's difficult. Maybe Pep, but I'm gonna give it to Arsene because it's Arsene, you know what I mean?
I prefer Pep as a coach, though. Like I think he's a better tactician than Wenger, but
he's
definitely
a better tactician.
I don't know. I think if you ask me another day, I'd say I'd say Wenger. Then today I'd say Pep. So it's
Arsene knew how to create. Like I think he knew how to develop talent. Like I really do. Like I think, and he had
well, so did Pep. That's the thing. He was actually a youth academy coach. He was Barca B's coach. Like that whole Barca dominance wouldn't have come without his leadership. That's what people forget. He was Barca B's coach before he became Barca head coach.
I need to sleep on it. And figure out because I need some receipts. But ML2 says, this is a good question as well. Do you prefer Saka leaving if it means you can invest in the squad and get top four?
No, because you need Saka to get a squad that's top four. Because you need to replace Saka. So the thing is, it's like taking one step forward, 3 steps backwards. So it's a bit of a not really.
I hear what you're saying, but what I would say for Arsenal fans, at some point, we're going to be faced with at least one of these questions. We are. We're going to be faced with one of these questions at some point. And I think we have a good core of young players, but I don't think all of them are going to be there for the long haul. And I would say at a certain point that and it probably wouldn't be Saka. It probably wouldn't be him. Because to be quite honest, if you're selling Bukayo Saka, I need one of those videos from fucking Vinay to tell me why they did this and why they sold Saka, like how they did for Villa. Because they would have a lot of explaining to do. It'd probably, to be honest with you guys, it'd probably be like a Martinelli, somebody like that, that we would have to sell, and it would be good to reinvest in the squad. But I think a lot of Arsenal fans have a reluctancy to sell young players, maybe because of anxiety, feeling like they may become a Gnabry or we're really attached to the young players. But at some point...
But Gnabry was... No offense to him, but he wasn't that good for us. It was his attitude. Don't forget, he went to West Brom, and West Brom didn't want him. Like, it's not just us, someone... you can understand, okay, Arsenal don't want a youth player because we're Arsenal, for example. But West Brom would absolutely, like, in today's day and age, would kill for an Arsenal player, or even a reject Arsenal player. It's like the way people look at City's rejects or leftovers. You'd be like, yeah, give me that. I'll take a bit of that. Even like Sterling, like people are on this Bernardo Silva hive now as well, where they just want him because he's a leftover for a City. You're like, yeah, give me that. But Gnabry wasn't that. So the anxiety thing was just, Saka is years beyond his development that we'd ever thought he would be. And to sell someone of that level would just take Basically, you'd be selling him, using that money to replace him. And I just don't think you'd actually step forward, because they're the types of players you need to get top for. You wouldn't see Man City selling KDB a few years ago because he's in the prime of his powers, and you wouldn't sell your arguably the best player at your club by a mile to then invest in a top four squad, because you needed that player to get you top four. So it's a bit of a and I think it's one of those where it's a step forward. Okay, maybe you'll have a bit of money left over, because let's be real, how much are we really going to get for him? 40, 50 million? I know we want 80, 90 million, but we'll probably get like 60 million at most for him.
You know what? I think that's the other part of it as well, is that we have to be in a position where we're not forced to sell. You know, we need to be in a good enough position where we can sit there and ask for that amount. You know, otherwise there's no point in selling. But I do think at some point, like, regardless, we're going to have to get used to or get comfortable with the idea that some of these younger players are not going to be here. And as long as we can recoup a good fee, we should be okay with that, because we're a self-sustaining model as long as the Cronkies are involved with the club. And so being able to sell well and buy smart is always going to be a part of what we need to be doing. We haven't done it, but it's an interesting question. I would not sell Bukayo Saka now. It would take a lot for me to think to even have to sell him. And I would sell maybe the non-Hale End people first, to be honest. But that's just me being emotional about it as well. You know, let's see what else we have here. That's such a crazy thing, because I do think it's going to come a lot sooner than people want it to. I mean, Villa was willing to pay like 30 something already for Emile Smith-Rowe, and he played for like 5 minutes. He did. He played for like
Yeah, I know what you
Oya Talani asks, do you have clarity of Arsenal style under Arteta, and how would you describe it? George, hurry, come. They're asking questions only you can answer. No, I'm just joking.
Right, so Arteta's style is very similar to what City have tried to implement and what Pep does. Overloads on the wide, where a lot of the wing-backs get involved in a lot of the play and the creativity of the team. So you're expecting the likes of Bellerin, Cedric, or Chambers, Tierney, whoever our left-backs are going to be this year. They overload, and you stretch your centre-backs to play out at the back. And what happens is you want your left-sided or whoever. The reality is the system isn't created exactly how you needed it to play. So what really happens is your single pivot usually is the one who comes in and covers for your right or your left back, whoever the weaker defender is. In our case, for some reason, we decide to go for the left-hand side to cover for Tierney, because his attributes suit more to be as an attacker. So in this case, Xhaka comes in to cover for your left back to allow him to create a left side overload. And then what happens is what you want your right hand side to do is, because of the way Pepe plays, he's primarily inside forward more than he is a natural winger. So when he's on the right hand side, the reason why he doesn't do so well is more because he needs someone who can create that wide overload, and he can come into the center and he can create that sort of space for him to be able to stay on the edge of the box, to allow him to play those sort of Robin-esque shots and play those finesse shots in the corner. And then what you do is your number 10 also contributes to that. And what you need your number 10 in this system to do is create space for whatever side the ball is on. So let's say it's on the right-hand side, you need ESR in this case to create space in the box to divert centre-back's attentions to cover him. So that then creates space for one of your attacking players to actually be able to pull off either a cross or a shot, or to play the ball into the wide position where Chambers is ready to receive it. And then when you go onto the left-hand side, because Xhaka, well, the reason why I keep Xhaka as the conversation, it's just more of a, because he's the one who's been playing it. He'll be in the left-back position, playing left, covering left. What that allows you to do is to have Tierney and whoever the left winger is, in this case, let's play as Saka, to break down and to basically create that wide overload with Tierney. It's harder to do it because if you see visuals of this, you'll see exactly what I'm trying to say. And what it does is Tierney will hug the byline, which is what we've seen a lot of the times. And It's what Jordi Alba does at Barcelona. He does it perfectly, and I hope Taney can watch Jordi Alba do this, because it will really help his game if he can try and emulate even some of what Jordi Alba does. And what happens is he'll hug the byline, or he'll come in deep. He'll come into the box, or he'll invert his run, depending on kind of how the situation plays out. Then what you need Saka to do is the quite opposite. He needs to either invert or outvert his run to create space for whoever the attacking player will be in the situation. And that's what he's trying to do. But the problem that you have is every moving part plays a role, which is very decisive, and it's too smart for the players we have. And this is why I revert back to footballing IQ players, and why we need a high intelligence, and why the likes of Saka suit the system better than Pepe does, and why ESR suits the system better than a Willian does, because they've got the movement as well as the intelligence to understand where the awareness needs to be and where the space is being created to be able to fill in for those. And it's a very and that's why we've struggled, because we've been too relaxed, and we've been playing this sort of counter-attacking, fast one-touch, one-pass, but with no real movement in our play. And Emery kind of destroyed what Wenger had built. I know he was only there for a season and a half, but it's the players that were there aren't good enough to what Arteta wants to do. Hence why I keep saying to people, when he gets that investment, or if he gets a club that backs him, and this is why I keep saying why City wanted him, because the players at City, if they were given to Arteta, he'd do good. And because it is an intelligent style, which is what a lot of modern managers who are succeeding are doing, is using your fullbacks more.
So there is it's in the last 20 minutes, but kind of breaking news that's come out. Atletico Madrid have signed Wolverhampton's forward Rafa Mir. So that's interesting. That means that Atletico no longer need a striker. So at this point, it's looking like Lacazette's suitors are starting to dwindle more and more. But then there are other reports coming out about Tammy Abraham being really interested in coming to Arsenal and pretty much waiting on us to move for him. And it's just, this is my frustration, right? Like, ooh, hold on. Yep. Yeah. And Messi is definitely, he's gone. So with the whole striker situation, it's, again, the opportunity cost and the true cost of not selling Lacazette last summer is really messing with us now. And I don't want to hear anything about his hold-up play, his build-up, his leadership, any soft factors. He should have been sold. He should have been sold. And it's not just because of Tammy Abraham. It's about Lautaro Martinez as well. You know, we actually can't get a striker in, and you can tell that Arsenal want a striker very badly. We've been linked with strikers all summer. So that leads me to believe that they're not confident in Balogun and Martinelli being able to, you know, kind of step into that next guy in line. So I'm worried about this just a little bit, because if the people behind the scenes are sitting there looking at Balogun and Martinelli like, you're not going to be able to do it, and they're also looking at Aubameyang like, we need to bring in a Lautaro Martinez or a Tammy Abraham to help you out, but Lacazette stays. It's this is what I'm saying. You know, sell.
Remember my prediction? Told you.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. The prediction.
I told you he's gonna find a way to stay. He's gonna do it. Yes, you know what it is? It's disappointing, isn't it? When you and this is the thing, right? And I don't want to hate it's the Cronkies, because let's be real, this fan base wanted Lacazette to stay as well. Well, I'm not saying all of us, by the way, but a lot of the fan base wanted Lacazette to stay when offers of 30 million or the region of 30 million were being offered for him last year, because of the fear that we may not be able to replace him. But I'm not even going to lie, but to replace a Lacazette isn't that difficult in the modern game. A lot of players are able to play back to goal and be this backboard playmaking striker. There's many of them, but who can also contribute goals to that. So we always do this. Even when Bellerin was being sold for a region of like 40 to 50 million pounds, we wanted to keep him. Now he's the future right back. He'd be worth like 60 million pounds, this, that, the other. And it comes to bite us all in the arse, really.
Yeah, I mean, whoa.
Yes, another year with Lacazette getting.
Here's my thing, is that I always thought we were just going to do enough to probably compete for Europe. That was my thing. I thought we'd get 2 central midfielders and then that right-sided center back, and the backup left back, I wasn't quite sure, but now that it looks like, we were looking for a striker, I think that's the push for top 4. I think you need that, but now, there's also reports coming out that Inter is going for Dumfries and Bellerin is off, so we're stuck, I think, we're stuck with these guys. Oh. I'm done. Oh gosh, let's see. Kingston. Fact. Strikers lose their goal boom when they start losing their... Is that true?
I mean, Aubameyang's lost it, and he's got a bit of a hairline issue at the moment. So,
oh my goodness, yeah.
Sounding that way.
Without a striker change or something going on up top, I do think we're looking at just trying to compete for Europe. Like, I don't think without that star striker, you're getting anywhere near top 4. So it is what it is, but if Inter get Dumfries, I wonder how much they'd be willing to pay for him. It feels like they just don't want to pay for Bellerin at all. Like, they feel like that should be a free transfer, because they have to pay for Dumfries. They have to pay at least 15 million for him, but they won't even give us that. That just shows like the level of what they think about our players, doesn't it? They're like, loan.
Yeah, they watched Chelsea and they thought, for now, we don't want to pay for this guy. Nah. Back out, abort mission. We should. This is the thing, man. We should not have played him against Chelsea. We might have got the sale. We might have.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. I wouldn't be so. It's so funny because people are getting really upset. I just want to say this really quick. This is not me trying to make any excuses for Edu, but this whole Edu's on vacation, look, another vacation. You guys, a lot of these deals are done on WhatsApp. Yeah. You guys know that. They don't actually sit in conference rooms all the time and deliberate around a big wooden table in an office. This stuff is literally done over WhatsApp. He can literally do his job on his phone, so him being on vacation doesn't really mean he's not doing any work. But I would not be surprised if he had bubble guts right now and he was kind of shitting it a little bit, because you got Bellerin, he's still here. Granted, that fell through. It's just so much to do, but so little time. And now it's just like, I feel like there'll be one panic big move, and then that'll be it. One big, probably a Madison, and then we'll be done. Yeah, maybe a goalkeeper. I know people are asking what we think. We did a whole prediction show on what we thought was going to happen for the rest of the window. So you guys can watch that if you want like full on predictions for the rest of the transfer window. But I still think like James Madison plus a goalkeeper, and that's it. Because I don't think we're going to be able to move on some of these guys. I don't think so. People are like, oh, you're trying to, what is it called? Defend Edu. I'm not. I'm really not. AK Gunners. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, you know what, with like Edu, like, I do feel sorry for him because it's not his fault where the club is. It's more like Raul Sanelli and Gazidis who have like really caused a lot of this shit to happen, where it's similar to what's happening at Barcelona, where players are just on extortionate contracts that are just not simply worth the investment, but they're on them because I don't know why. I really don't know. Some of them I really don't understand why. Like, why, like Lacazette's on, what is he on, 180k? Like, why is he on that much money? Why is the likes of, when Ozil got it, why did we offer him 350,000 rather than like maybe 250, which is more towards his true value? It's just weird. But Edu's got to deal with all of that, plus being able to sell them for something that's like, okay, this is worth our time to entertain. You're not going to entertain like 20, like a player that's worth maybe 20 million, but you're going to take 10. Like, it's not really like one of those where, because that means you're a club that's willing to get bullied. I think you're on mute.
I'm always on mute. It's crazy. AK Gunner asked, do you think Adu and Garlic can get the Madison deal over the line this summer? Be honest. I have my doubts that they will sign Madison in this window. I think they can do that at the very least. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think honestly, like maybe I personally am let me just say this. If we get Madison over the line, I still think we've improved the squad. Probably not as much as people really want, and not me either, but I do think that that's an improvement. I do think we have one big signing in us, one big one left, because there's just too much to do and too little time, and we don't really seem to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We just don't have that being able to do multiple deals at once. It's kind of like, let's do one, complete it, now do another one. But some part of this for me also, I think, has something to do with Joe Willock. I think we need to figure out what we're going to do with him, and then things start to move forward. So I do think they can get the Madison deal over the line, because I do believe we have the money. Why would you be even this far? First, you are not going to start talking to a club about a player if you don't have some money. You do have it. Leicester is not going to give you a deal on it. So I do think that they can get the Madison deal over the line. Now, the other things that people are looking for, the right back, another central midfielder, those are the things that I don't think are going to get done because there's just too much to do. Do you think that they can get the Madison deal over the line, Souls?
That's going to sound mad, but I reckon it's kind of done. I reckon deals have been struck, but I don't think any announcements will be made until, I reckon, after Brentford is when we'll actually hear an announcement on Madison. But I reckon this deal is basically as done as it can be. I think the only thing that Arsenal are trying to do is formulate a deal where they're paying about 45 to 50 million up front, and then trying to figure out how then the rest of the 15 million, because I reckon the deal will cost the club, in terms of however it's done, around 65 million would then be the sort of full-on evaluation that we've got to meet. But I reckon there might be a possibility of a Reece Nelson or even an Ainsley Maitland-Niles being used as a bargaining tool to Leicester to lure in a Madison. But I reckon, I think it's done, in my opinion. I think it's about 90% of the way there. It's just figuring out the finer details, like installment plans or like bonuses, or, that everyone puts into them, so that we're not paying 60 million up front, but we're paying maybe 50 million up front, and then 15 million in like add-ons and bonuses.
Yeah, for sure. And I just feel the timeline, this is just how I feel in general about transfers. I think there's a lot of like, we should be able to get this done a lot quicker. And I get that, because on our timeline, that's what we want. We want instant gratification. We want our anxieties to be taken care of quickly. So I understand that, but the timeline for getting players in the door, you can have, benchmarks, but ultimately when you're dealing with other clubs, especially clubs that are not forced to sell, you have to wait a little bit longer. We're dealing with Brighton, we're dealing with Leicester, two teams that are way better ran than us, and we're trying to get players that they don't have to sell that are English. So it's going to take longer, and I know people don't want to hear that. They feel as though we should have every single thing done weeks before the season even starts. But that's just not the reality when you're dealing with, if we wanted to get a WAD done, we probably could get that done in like 5 minutes. He's dying to leave. They want to get rid of him. He's a lot cheaper and he's not English. But that's just not, what we're doing. And I'm not really asking you guys for patience. Like, you know what I mean? It's just patience on my own. If you guys want to be, if you guys are upset, you're upset. It is what it is. But Yannick Max says, the judges at the end of the window is a ballsy statement. I can't lie. But this is also the same Adu who said that, why do the fans expect Messi? Do you remember when he said that? He said that. He was like, so I view Edu as somebody who feels like, why should I explain anything to the fans? They don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes. Judge us at the end of the window is a very pointed statement to the fans, basically saying, shut up, you don't know anything. When he said, why do the fans expect Messi? That let me know all I need to know about Edu. He's never going to be the guy that sits in front of a camera and is unveiling everything. We're always going to be on the dark. We're always going to be under the dark. That's just who Edu is. You know what I mean?
But I know this is gonna sound like defending Edu, and I know the comments have already gotten at me once, but I'll say it again. Look, transfers, right? If you talk to anyone who's even at a lower level, even coaches at these professional clubs, they'll tell you they do not want you to know what their transfer plans are, because Arsenal saying that they want a certain player, or Man City saying they want a certain player, will bring too many eyes onto that player that they may not need to have. You know, let we're lucky. We're in a unique situation with Madison where no one else needs a number 10, or no major like rival team needs a number 10 at the very minute. So we're lucky in that sense. But I don't know, like let's say for example we went for Sancho, you know that there'll be other clubs that would then be like, you know what, that player looks good. And that's why they try to keep it in house as much as they can, so that firstly, they don't get into a bidding war with the club and overpay for a player, but also it means they can then try and strike a deal with those clubs that you can't. Obviously, a Leicester is not a good example of that, because they are like, you pay this or you piss off. Like, we ain't even entertaining anything lower. Like, just do one. So I kind of agree, and also he's at least he's setting the benchmark. Look, we're not gonna get Messi's and Mbappe's at the moment. Like, be realistic. Like, come on. Like, don't stop getting your hopes up to a point where we're not in a position where we can get an Mbappe or a Haaland or a Neymar or etc. So I quite like it. He's being transparent in a very like direct way, and I quite like it actually.
I mean, a lot of people felt like he was slapping us across the face and being condescending. I just think I feel like I know where I stand with Edu. You don't know anything, Jessica. Shut up. That's essentially what I hear from
But
Edu. And
we don't. That's the funny
but
thing.
it's
We
and
actually
we
don't.
don't. But see, the issue with that is,
Like, I'm not going to
it's
tell a
just
doctor how to do his job, am I? Like, it's not.
he has no grace. He has no grace. Like at this point, if he doesn't get much done, you know, after the previous window and this one, he'll be rendered. People will just say he's useless. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But I get why people are upset about that. But there's this thing with the fan base where our anxiety makes us so like nervous that we feel like we deserve a lot of transparency. Like we actually want the club to basically be telling us what they're doing at every moment. And most clubs don't tell you in the moment what they're doing. They tell you after the fact. They'll explain something. They never, I don't, is Arsenal are not going to put out a blog, a free blog out there giving you information about how their transfers are going to go and all this kind of stuff. That's just not how it goes. Our anxiety feels like that's what we deserve. But in reality, that's never how it goes. It's just like thinking that Arteta is going to tell us anything in a press conference. He's literally told to say nothing. So like, I wouldn't even listen to his press conferences anymore. But I think what I want to do to end this Q&A is just kind of talk about this, because this is the biggest story out. And I can't really understand why, because we're not even linked with this player. A Gunners Onyx Lens says, Madison is not worth 65 million. Might as well get Bernardo Silva. We're not even linked with Bernardo Silva, but it's already becoming kind of like this conversation where Madison is not the player we should go after. We should go after somebody that we're not linked with and somebody that probably would never come to us. It's just like some players are out of your league. He's out of our league. And then not only that is we have to have a serious conversation about how we view players. And yes, a certain player may be better than another. Like I do think Bernardo Silva is on another level than Madison. I think Madison's a really good player. And I think Bernardo Silva is a top player. There's a difference. But what I would say is that we need the best possible player that fits within our system. Not the best player overall, the best player that fits in our system. That's a key element to this whole thing. And when you look at Bernardo Silva, he plays virtually right wing / right-sided 8, sometimes off of the left. He's not a player that plays centrally. And as soon as you decide that you're going to keep Granit Xhaka on your team, you know you're going to be playing with a 10. And the last thing we need is a 10 that, not really a 10 that wants to play off of the right-hand side and cut in on their left foot, because we have Saka trying to cut in on his left, Pepe trying to cut in on his left. We need somebody that wants to go float into the left half space. And that's what Madison does. So if you're telling me that we're going to have to, because Bernardo Silva is going to cost you 60 million as well. I don't know if you guys have checked his market value. He's worth about 60. And Manchester City is not going to give you a deal. So if you're telling me get Madison, who fits perfectly into the system, that costs 60 million, that's a top player, versus Bernardo Silva, who's probably a better quality player, not a clean fit, but I'm going to have to pay basically the same. I'm going to take James Madison. And most players are not worth what we pay for them. When's the last time you've seen a player like really, once we start getting to the upper echelon of players, you're paying inflation anyway. Neymar was not worth like 200 million or whatever he went for to PSG. A lot of these players are worth it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I just feel we're getting into this thing where we're trying to, I don't know, we're reaching. Bernardo Silva is not even on our radar, and he doesn't even play the position in which we're looking for. So, like, what's the deal? You know, what do you think about this whole Madison versus Bernardo Silva thing that we've kind of concocted on our own? Like, we're actively trying to sign James Madison, and there's a lot of people trying to make it seem like it's a bad signing, and it's literally not.
It's like comparing Pepe to Tierney, really. It's just two completely different positions, different types of players, and one fits, one doesn't, and that's as simple as that. If we're trying to, let's say, for example, we sold Pepe and we went in for Bernardo Silva, fair enough, okay, we're looking to, for someone who's vacated that, because Pepe obviously has played on the left and he's played on the right, but predominantly we've seen him as a right winger, and that would make more sense if that's what we're trying to fill, but that's not what we're trying to do. We're looking for a number 10 or someone who can play the number 10, and unfortunately, Bernardo Silva, even under Pep, was entrusted as a midfielder. He predominantly played as a winger, or he didn't play. The times he played in midfield were those oppositions in the Carabao Cup or early stages of the FA Cup, where in reality that sort of quality drop that he has in the midfield doesn't really matter too much to them and the system that they're trying to play. But it's one of those where it's like what you said, it's Madison is what we need. Bernardo Silva is probably the quality we wanted, but I don't even think Bernardo Silva is that much better than Madison either. And I know that sounds a bit, because people forget Madison 2 seasons ago, last season he was injured, which is why people forget how good he is. And football's a funny old sport. Like, you will forget in a season how good a player is because another player's come in, and that's it really. For me, it's like I've always said it. Look, I want Madison in that 10, not Bernardo Silva. I just don't see a 10 for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just this thing that would do where it's like, he can play there. Yeah, but we've never seen it. Like, you know what I mean? And some people will go back to Monaco and say that he was a 10. He wasn't. He either played on the right side as a right midfielder at Monaco, or he played right wing. Like, he doesn't really play that position. So to buy somebody for 60 million to say that he maybe can play that position because he's technically good enough to do it doesn't really.
Yeah, there's a comment that I really want to address, right? So from Guna Onyx Lens. He's a footballer. Yeah. Silva will fit in, trust, right? Mm-hmm. Ramos is a footballer. Would you play him as a number 10? Would you play him out on the wing? Technically, he's a footballer. He should be able to do it, right? Would you go play, I don't know, would you play Aubameyang as a centre-back? He's a footballer, right? He should be able to play that. Would you go put him in net? No, because it's not what they do. It's not their speciality. And this is the thing that people need to understand. For us to be a top 4 team competing at all fronts, you buy the player you need, not the player you want. It's like I'm going out to buy a chocolate bar, and guess what I do? I go buy milk. Like, it's not what
No,
you
I
needed.
agree. I agree with that. I know, like, I get that a lot of Arsenal fans are interested in what's going on at Man City at the moment because they will try to sell some of their players in trust. I would take, like, that's a bin I would like to dig in for a second. You know, what have they just thrown out? Oh, there's a Gabriel Jesus in there. Let me grab that. Oh, Bernardo Silva. Yeah. Amares. Hell yeah. That is like high end bargain shopping there. But he doesn't fit. He doesn't fit. Like, it just doesn't work. And yes, we can maybe say he can play in that position, but unless we are moving into a 4-3-3, which we're not, because as soon as Xhaka's there, you're not moving. You're playing with a pivot, a double pivot. Then you need a 10, somebody who can play more centrally, and ideally somebody that can move into the left-hand side. I just don't think we need 3 or 2 players out there on the pitch, one being our 10 and the other being our right winger, being desperate to cut off on their left hand, on their left foot. I just think it's, and then also not to go too far into it, but when you look at Bernardo Silva and Bernardo Silva, the player, he's a connector. He's not really a final pass guy. He's not going to get you that many goals. And Madison creates tons of chances. He has created tons of chances in his career. That's his job. We need somebody that can get Aubameyang the ball. Bernardo Silva is a connector. He's the guy that just kind of keeps the ball ticking around. He's a system guy. So you're not going to get what you're really looking for. The technical quality of the team would improve, but from a
Wow, that's old school, isn't it?
from the specific or the specificity part of it, it's not good enough, so that's just me though. I know you guys, well, last time it was George, it wasn't me. This time it was me. So, but yeah, you guys, I can completely understand why you guys want Bernardo Silva. And yes, I would take their dregs, but like not him because it doesn't fit. And because we're in for Madison, you know. And there were also people that said Willian could play the number 10 and
Oh hell no! Hell
how
no
that
no
worked
no no
out.
no 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 no
How
no
that
no
worked out.
no no no. That's if that happens, I swear to God, Arteta out. I'm not. I don't even care if he plays well. It's just no. You're not. Just don't take the risk. Don't do it.
People say it's Adu, it's Adu.
What's
Yeah,
Edu? Wait, which one's Edu? Like for what?
they said that Adu's calling me.
Oh,
Yannick Max says it's Pep to say you don't know ball. Lord Gunnar says that's Adu who wants a word. Tam says pick up, it's Adu asking to recruit you to the scouting team. I'd do it for free to help you guys out. I would. Cronky calling just to confirm Messi signing. Yeah, you guys, it's
I mean, he does live
definitely,
around the corner from you, doesn't he?
oh my gosh.
I
Like
hear you go for your morning runs together.
I know, right? I set up like if I had a chance to talk to Adu, I would just sit down and just be like, please sell. Just sell some of these players, stop being stupid, and go get Madison. Like that's it,
You know,
but
one day, yeah, we should. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that on stream in case it happens. I'll be liable for.
what were you
And
gonna say?
I was gonna say we
Wait,
should.
don't get us in trouble. What is it?
Yeah, right. This is not my idea. You're responsible for your own actions, right? But like, this is just the weird me coming out. I'm just like GTA vibe right now, and I'm like, why not let's just storm into the office and just talk to him. Like, if enough of us go, I'm sure the security guard will be like, fuck it, I don't get paid enough for this. So,
Oh my goodness. It's
but
so
again,
funny.
I'm saying not to do that, but yeah, I, I would cheer you on if you did it. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And Nashville says we can't sell without a buyer. And I agree with that. I'm very big
That's
on,
why I said dump and leave.
but the reality is that we have had buyers in the past and we chose not to sell. Like, you know what I mean? So, oh no, Uncle Terry in the house. You guys are hilarious, But I just want to let you guys know what's going to be happening next week since we are building up to the new season. Let me just pull it up. I should have it up, you guys. So we have a lot happening next week, building up to the season. Friday, we play Brentford, obviously. So this coming Monday, we're going to be ranking every 2021-2022 Premier League home kit. On Tuesday, we'll be doing our Premier League predictions. So that's going to be just predictions on where everybody's going to finish, who's going to be the Golden Boot winner, all those types of things. Then on Wednesday, we're going into specific Arsenal predictions. So that's your who's going to score the most goals, who's going to get the most red cards, where we're going to finish, how many assists are we going to get, all those fun things. So might want to have a drink or something for that one, because I think that one's going to be hilarious. Thursday, we'll do our match preview. And then on Friday, we'll be doing our watch along for the Brentford game, as well as our instant match prediction or match reaction. You guys remember, like, things are going to change just a little bit, because we'll have the watch alongs, but all of the match reactions are going to be phone in shows. So you get to say, have your say, and it's going to be really interactive. And then we're also going to have a big announcement coming next week about some more things coming in the pipeline for SheKnowsArsenal. So tons of content. Scott from the Red Cannon will be here, Gunner King, as well as Melina. So we're going to have good guests on here for you guys as well. So yeah, we have a lot gearing up for this coming up season. Are you guys excited for the new season?
Arsenal ain't leveling up, but we are. That's all I can say.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Arsenal's not leveling up, but SheKnowsArsenal is. But you guys make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow is Saturday. We'll see what's going on. Arsenal don't usually announce anything on Saturday, so we'll see, what's going on, and see if I can conjure up a stream. It's really difficult these days. Yeah. Oh yeah, George. Yeah, you guys, George, he'll be back. Do you guys not like us? Why do people keep asking for George? Is it George Knows Arsenal? Should I just give him the channel? What do you guys think?
I told you I'm signing for Sheeno's PSG at this rate. I'm just going to go follow Messi. Transfer time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys. Well, we'll talk to you later. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Bye, y'all.